Hi, I'm Jess, a 30-year-old woman getting married soon. You'd think wedding planning would be stressful because of vendors or guest lists, but nope, it's my family. Specifically, my older sister Lisa, who's 34 and a single mom to 2 kids, ages 3 and 5. To say Lisa and I have a complicated relationship would be an understatement. Growing up, Lisa was the golden child. She could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one, always expected to help, pitch in, and never complain. If Lisa needed something, it was assumed I'd handle it. Babysitting? Check. Picking up extra chores because she had more on her plate. Of course, this dynamic hasn't changed much, except now I'm an adult with my own life, and Lisa still expects me to drop everything for her. Here's some context. Lisa is a single mom. Her ex isn't in the picture much, so she's raising her kids alone. I genuinely admire her for that, but she's used her situation as a free pass to steamroll everyone around her. My parents enable her at every turn, constantly reminding me how hard Lisa has it and why I should step up to help her. This usually translates to last-minute babysitting, covering for her missed commitments, or justifying her bad behavior because she's stressed. Now let's talk about my wedding. I'm marrying Chris, my fiancé of 2 years, in a few weeks. We're planning a small, intimate ceremony, just close friends and family. Chris has been my rock throughout this entire ordeal, and honestly, without him, I'd have probably canceled the wedding just to avoid the drama. But this day is important to us, and I've worked hard to make sure it's special. The drama started small, as it always does. Lisa made offhand comments about how hard it would be to manage her kids during the wedding. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured she'd bring them along, and we'd figure something out. But then the comments kept coming. She'd joke about how exhausting weddings are for kids, how it's not like I have anyone to help me, and how it'd be nice if someone could just watch them for a bit. I saw where this was going, but I tried to ignore it. One day, she made it explicit. Lisa called me while I was finalizing plans with my wedding coordinator. She casually mentioned that she was planning to book a spa day the morning of my wedding. Confused, I asked how that would work with her kids. She laughed and said, "Oh, I figured you'd watch them while you're getting ready. You're good at multitasking." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. I told her flat out that wouldn't be happening. I'm the bride. I'll be getting my hair and makeup done, spending time with my bridesmaids, and, preparing to marry the love of my life. She brushed it off, saying we'll figure it out like it was no big deal. This was my first real red flag. Then came the babysitting history. Over the years, Lisa has treated me like her personal childcare service. There were countless times she'd drop her kids off with little to no warning, expecting me to cancel plans to watch them. Once, she left them with me for an entire weekend because she needed a break. I love my niece and nephew, but I've had to miss birthdays, dates, and even job opportunities because of her lack of planning. This time, I decided to set a boundary. I told her I wouldn't be available to babysit on my wedding day. Lisa immediately flipped the script, accusing me of being selfish and inconsiderate. She started with the guilt trips. "Do you know how hard it is to be a single mom? And you've always been so lucky, Jess. Can't you do this one thing for me?" My parents chimed in too, suggesting I help Lisa out because she has it so hard. The audacity didn't stop there. A week later, Lisa asked me to hire a babysitter for her kids when I told her that wasn't in my budget because, hello, weddings are expensive. She suggested I cut back on something unnecessary to afford it. She even hinted that I should adjust my guest list to include fewer people so I could cover her babysitter. At this point, I was floored. Chris has been incredibly supportive. He told me I need to stand my ground and not let Lisa ruin our day. My best friend, Amber, agrees, and she's even offered to help manage any drama on the wedding day. But the stress is getting to me. Lisa keeps acting like I'll eventually cave, and my parents are no help. They keep telling me to keep the peace and remember that family is everything. The final straw came when Lisa casually mentioned that if I didn't figure something out, she might not come to the wedding at all. At first, I thought she was bluffing, but now I'm not so sure. It's heartbreaking that my own sister is making this about her instead of celebrating my happiness. I turned to Reddit because I honestly don't know if I'm being unreasonable. On one hand, I feel guilty. Lisa is my sister, and I love her kids. On the other hand, this is my wedding, and I deserve to have one day where I'm not catering to her demands. Am I wrong for saying no? Update 1. After my first post gained some attention, I didn't expect the situation to escalate so quickly. But with Lisa, things rarely simmer down, they boil over. The very next day, I got a message in the family group chat. Lisa wanted to have a family discussion about my wedding. She insisted we meet in person to clear the air and get on the same page. I had a bad feeling about it, but my parents were all for it, so I reluctantly agreed. When I arrived at my parents' house, Lisa was already there, looking smug as ever. She wasted no time launching into her speech. She said that as a single mom, she deserved a spa day to relax and recharge, and it wasn't fair for me to expect her to juggle her kids on my wedding day. My parents nodded along, like she was presenting some groundbreaking argument. Then came the kicker. Lisa suggested that since I could afford a wedding, I could also afford to hire a babysitter for her kids. I explained, calmly at first, that my wedding budget was already tight. Between the venue, catering, and a modest honeymoon, there wasn't room to add childcare for Lisa's convenience to the list. Lisa rolled her eyes and said I should cut costs elsewhere, maybe on the guest list or decorations because family comes first. My parents chimed in, saying it wouldn't hurt to make a small sacrifice to help Lisa. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The guilt-tripping texts started that same evening. Lisa sent me a long message about how hard her life is compared to mine. She talked about how I had Chris to support me while she had no one. She even called me privileged for not understanding her struggles. It was all too familiar, the same playbook she's used for years to get her way. Then came the threats. Lisa told me if I didn't provide childcare, she might not come to the wedding at all. I thought that would be the end of it, but she wasn't done. She added that if she didn't come, my parents wouldn't come either. Apparently, they felt it would be too awkward to attend without her. For a moment, I felt like I was back in high school, dealing with petty drama. Chris, my fiancé, had enough. He suggested we hire security for the wedding to prevent any last-minute kid dumping. It wasn't what I wanted, but I could see his point. Lisa had a history of showing up unannounced or ignoring boundaries. My best friend, Amber, offered to be my unofficial enforcer on the day. She said she'd keep an eye on things and step in if needed. The next day, Lisa sent me her official ultimatum: babysit her kids or she wouldn't come, and if she didn't come, my parents wouldn't either. It wasn't even about the kids anymore, it was about control. I could feel the pressure building, but I kept reminding myself of all the times I'd let her walk all over me in the past. Like the time she showed up hours late to my birthday party with her kids in tow. They were tired and cranky, and Lisa demanded that the whole party revolve around their needs. We ended up skipping the plans I had made so Lisa could leave early, and I spent the night cleaning up spilled juice and frosting. Or the time she borrowed money from me just for a week and didn't pay me back for months. These memories were my anchor. They reminded me why I couldn't give in this time. Meanwhile, my parents continued to coddle Lisa. They told me I was creating unnecessary drama and that weddings are about bringing families together, not tearing them apart. I asked them why they couldn't step up to help Lisa if they were so concerned, but of course they dodged the question. The support I received online kept me going. Reddit users flooded my post with comments telling me to stand firm and not let Lisa ruin my wedding. Some even shared their own stories of dealing with entitled family members, which made me feel less alone. I started drafting a plan to set clear boundaries in writing. I figured if Lisa wanted to test me, I'd give her something concrete to push against. And then the plot twist. Lisa accidentally sent a group text that was clearly meant for someone else. In it, she mocked me for playing the victim and said she'd find a way to make my wedding all about her if I didn't back down. She called me names and laughed about how easy it was to get our parents on her side. The text went to me, my parents, and even Chris. The fallout was immediate. I called her out in the group chat, but she tried to play it off as a joke. My parents, predictably, told me to let it go and not make things worse. But this wasn't something I could just brush off. The gloves were off now, and I knew I had to take action before Lisa's antics overshadowed my wedding completely. Next steps: enforce boundaries, finalize the security plan, and maybe even uninvite Lisa if things keep escalating. But that's a story for another day. For now, I'm just trying to keep my sanity intact. Update 2. After the accidental group text where Lisa mocked me and admitted she planned to make my wedding all about her, I confronted her. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she laughed and said it was just a joke, claiming I was overreacting. My parents, of course, immediately jumped to her defense, telling me to let it go and reminding me that family is more important than petty arguments. I reminded everyone in the group chat that this wasn't the first time Lisa had caused drama. I laid out the facts, how she'd consistently taken advantage of me over the years, how she was turning my wedding into a circus, and how her behavior had been downright cruel. Lisa responded with more guilt-tripping, playing the victim and saying she couldn't believe her own sister would attack her like that. My parents chimed in, accusing me of making the family dynamic worse and urging me to apologize to Lisa. Apologize? For what? For not letting her steamroll me. The timing couldn't have been worse. The wedding was now just a week away, and I was already juggling last-minute details with the stress of Lisa's antics. That's when Lisa dropped another bombshell. She announced that she'd be bringing her kids to the wedding anyway and expected accommodations. She made it clear that she wouldn't be hiring a babysitter and that it was my responsibility as her sister to make sure everything worked out. At this point, I seriously considered hiring a babysitter myself just to avoid the chaos. But Chris convinced me it wasn't my job to clean up Lisa's mess. He reminded me that Lisa had been pulling these stunts for years and that giving in now would only set a precedent for future events. Amber, my best friend, stepped up again and reassured me that she'd be there to handle any drama. She even offered to bring along a couple of our mutual friends to help keep things under control if Lisa tried anything. Meanwhile, Lisa sent me what she probably thought was an olive branch, a half-hearted apology. It was the kind of apology that wasn't really an apology at all. She said she was sorry if I felt hurt by her actions and that she only acted that way because she was under so much stress. It was obvious she just wanted to keep the peace without actually taking responsibility for anything. I didn't respond. The rehearsal dinner was the next disaster. Lisa showed up late, of course, dragging her kids along. The little ones were cranky and hungry, and Lisa didn't seem to care that they were disrupting everything. She spent most of the evening scrolling through her phone while my parents bent over backward to entertain the kids. At one point, her youngest knocked over a centerpiece, and instead of apologizing or offering to help, Lisa just shrugged and said, "Kids will be kids." By the end of the night, I had reached my breaking point. I pulled Lisa aside and told her that if she couldn't respect my boundaries, she wouldn't be welcome at the wedding. She acted shocked and hurt, accusing me of being unfair and ruining her chance to celebrate my big day. My parents, who had overheard, jumped in to defend her again. They accused me of tearing the family apart over something so small. The family drama quickly spread. Some relatives took Lisa's side, saying I was being unreasonable and that weddings were family events where everyone should feel included. Others backed me, pointing out that Lisa's behavior had been selfish and disruptive. The whole thing turned into a massive divide, with people picking sides and throwing around opinions like it was a reality TV show. To make matters worse, Lisa continued her online campaign. She posted a long rant on Facebook, painting me as a bridezilla who didn't care about her sister's struggles. She conveniently left out the part where she mocked me in the group chat or refused to hire a babysitter. Luckily, some family members and mutual friends started calling her out in the comments, sharing their own stories of her entitlement. It felt like a small victory, but it didn't erase the stress she was causing. In the midst of all this, I updated my Reddit post with screenshots of Lisa's antics. The responses were overwhelming. People encouraged me to document everything in case Lisa caused problems at the venue, and some even suggested I look into legal options if her behavior escalated. One user gave me the idea to draft a formal letter outlining my boundaries and expectations, so I'd have something to fall back on if things got worse. As the wedding day approached, I couldn't shake the mix of excitement and dread. Chris and I had worked so hard to make this day special, but Lisa's drama was casting a shadow over everything. The night before the wedding, I received a cryptic text from her, "You'll regret how you've treated me when this is all over." I didn't know what she meant, but I wasn't taking any chances. Amber and Chris helped me finalize the security plan, and we made sure to inform the venue staff about the situation. No matter what Lisa had planned, I was determined not to let her ruin my wedding day. That's where things stand now. The wedding is tomorrow, and while I'm excited to marry Chris, I can't shake the feeling that Lisa has one more trick up her sleeve. I'll update you all soon, wish me luck. Update 3. The morning of my wedding started out perfectly. I was surrounded by my bridesmaids, Amber, and a glass of champagne while we got ready. The venue staff were incredible and everything seemed to be falling into place. I told myself not to let Lisa's cryptic text from the night before ruin my day. But with Lisa, chaos is never far behind. It started when one of my bridesmaids, Emma, noticed something odd on social media. Lisa had posted a photo of herself at a spa with the caption, "Self-care before the big day. Can't pour from an empty cup," the timestamp, right as the ceremony was set to begin. She'd skipped it entirely. I wasn't surprised, but it still stung. My parents were seated front and center, pretending like nothing was wrong. I didn't have time to dwell on it. I was getting married. The ceremony was everything I'd dreamed of. Chris looked amazing. The vows were perfect. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like the drama might actually be behind us. But of course, it wasn't. The reception started smoothly. Everyone was enjoying themselves, and Chris's heartfelt toast had people tearing up. That's when one of the venue staff approached Amber and me with a concerned look. She quietly explained that a woman was trying to get into the reception with 2 small children and was arguing with security. I didn't need to ask who it was. Lisa had arrived. She hadn't RSVP'd. She wasn't on the guest list. And yet, there she was, demanding to be let in with her kids in tow. The security team, who had been prepped about the situation, stood firm. Lisa's voice grew louder, and soon, guests started noticing the commotion. Chris went to check on things, but Amber insisted on handling it herself. She intercepted Lisa before things could escalate further. Outside, Lisa was full-blown yelling. She claimed that as my sister, she had a right to be there, and that I was alienating her and her kids from the family. She made a scene, shouting that it wasn't her fault she couldn't find a babysitter, and accusing me of being cold and selfish. The kids were crying, which only added to the chaos. At one point, Lisa even told security that if they didn't let her in, she'd call the police. Meanwhile, inside, guests were starting to whisper. My parents slipped out to join Lisa and immediately sided with her. They told security to let her in because she's family and argued that her behavior wasn't a big deal. Chris and I stayed calm, sticking to the plan we'd made. Security politely but firmly denied her entry and asked her to leave the property. Lisa didn't leave quietly. She stood outside the gates and called me every name in the book, loud enough for some guests to hear. Eventually, one of the venue staff threatened to call the authorities, and that's when Lisa finally left, dragging her kids with her. My parents stormed back inside, clearly furious. They approached me, saying I'd embarrassed the family and ruined Lisa's day. I reminded them it was my wedding day, not hers, and walked away before the argument could go any further. Thankfully, the reception picked up again. Chris's second speech reminded everyone why we were there, to celebrate love and new beginnings. Guests rallied around us, sharing their support and helping us move past the drama. For the rest of the night, we danced, laughed, and enjoyed the company of the people who genuinely cared about us. But Lisa wasn't done. By the time we got home, her version of events was all over social media. She posted a long rant about how she'd been excluded from her sister's wedding and humiliated in front of her kids. She left out the part where she wasn't invited to the reception, had skipped the ceremony, and showed up to cause trouble. Her story painted me as a heartless bridezilla who didn't care about family. It didn't take long for the post to blow up, with people commenting on both sides. Some extended family members started calling and texting, demanding to know what had happened. Some believed Lisa's version, while others defended me, saying her actions were completely out of line. I stayed quiet, knowing anything I said would only add fuel to the fire. After the reception, Chris and I left for our honeymoon, determined to put the drama behind us. But Lisa wasn't finished. On the second day of our trip, I got an email from her with the subject line, "reimbursement" in it. She demanded that I pay her back for the spa day she'd needed to recover from the stress I'd caused her. I couldn't believe the audacity. I forwarded the email to Amber, who laughed and told me to delete it. When I updated Reddit with everything that had happened, the response was overwhelming. Readers were furious on my behalf, especially about the spa day demand. Many offered advice, including some who suggested legal action to prevent Lisa from continuing her harassment. I decided not to engage with Lisa at all. Her antics had crossed the line, and I knew I needed to take steps to protect my peace moving forward. Looking back, I can't say I'm surprised by how things turned out. Lisa has always made everything about her, and this time was no different. But one thing is clear, I'm done letting her manipulate me. This wedding was a turning point, and I'm ready to take control of my life without her toxic influence. More on that in the next update. Update 4. It didn't take long after the honeymoon for the drama to start up again. When we got back, I found out that Lisa hadn't paid for her spa day out of pocket. She'd charged it to my parents' credit card. I learned this because my parents called me, demanding that I reimburse them. They claimed Lisa had told them I forced her to go to the spa because I wouldn't accommodate her kids at the wedding. I didn't even know how to respond at first. My parents kept pushing, insisting it was only fair that I cover the cost since Lisa's plans were ruined because of the drama I caused. I told them absolutely not. They went on about how families should support each other and accused me of being selfish. I countered that if they kept enabling Lisa, I'd have no choice but to step back from the family altogether. They brushed me off, saying I was too emotional to think clearly. Meanwhile, Lisa ramped up her online campaign. She made multiple posts on Facebook, calling me a heartless bridesmaid and claiming I'd intentionally excluded her and her kids from my wedding to make her look bad. At first, I ignored it, but then something surprising happened. People started defending me. A few extended family members and mutual friends chimed in, sharing their own experiences with Lisa's entitlement. Someone even brought up how she'd ruined their birthday party by showing up uninvited and demanding special accommodations for her kids. It was a relief to see others finally acknowledging her behavior. Chris stepped in after the spa day fiasco and sent my parents an email. He outlined, in detail, all the ways they'd enabled Lisa over the years and how their favoritism had affected me. He also made it clear that if they continued to take Lisa's side, they'd be jeopardizing their relationship with both of us. My parents didn't respond, which I took as their way of siding with Lisa. Around this time, I started therapy. I'd been meaning to do it for a while, but the wedding drama was the final push I needed. My therapist helped me see just how toxic these dynamics had been and encouraged me to set firm boundaries. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. Things escalated further when Lisa showed up at our house unannounced. Chris and I were watching a movie when we heard banging on the door. When we checked the security camera, there she was, standing on the porch with her kids. She was yelling something about how I needed to make things right and that I owed her an apology. We didn't answer the door. After about 10 minutes, she finally left, but not before leaving a handwritten note saying, "This isn't over." That incident was the last straw. I consulted a lawyer about Lisa's behavior and what steps I could take to protect myself. The lawyer advised me to send a cease and desist letter if she continued to harass me. For now, I decided to block her and my parents on all platforms, no calls, no texts, no social media. It was time to go no contact. Of course, this didn't go unnoticed. Extended family started reaching out, asking why I was causing division by cutting off Lisa and my parents. Some tried to guilt me into reconciling, while others shared their support, saying they understood why I'd made this decision. Amber, my best friend, hosted a small dinner to celebrate what she called my freedom from family toxicity. It felt good to be surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me. But Lisa wasn't done. A week after I blocked her, I received a package in the mail. Inside was a handmade card from her kids. The card read, "We miss you," in crayon, but it was obviously written by Lisa. At the bottom, she'd added in her own handwriting, "Please pay mommy back for her spa day." I couldn't believe it. She was now using her kids to guilt me into giving her money. I threw the card away and added her to the list of people I'd never allow back into my life. Finally, I sat down and drafted a formal letter to Lisa and my parents. In it, I explained my decision to go no contact and outlined the reasons why. I made it clear that this wasn't about one event, it was about years of manipulation, entitlement, and neglect. I sent the letter and updated Reddit with everything that had happened. The support I received online was overwhelming. People encouraged me to stay strong and reminded me that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was taking control of my life. Lisa's antics might not be over, but my tolerance for them certainly is. As for what's next, I'm focusing on my relationship with Chris, my therapy, and building a life free from unnecessary drama. I've learned that sometimes cutting ties isn't just an option, it's the only way forward. Update 5. Months have passed since my wedding, and life has been a whirlwind, but in the best way possible. Cutting ties with Lisa and my parents was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it's also been the most freeing. It hasn't been without its drama, though. I've since learned through extended family that Lisa and my parents are still talking about the wedding fiasco. Apparently, they've spun an elaborate story about how I betrayed the family and ruined Lisa's life. It's almost comical at this point. Lisa's harassment didn't stop right away, even after I blocked her. She kept trying to contact me through mutual friends and family. Once, she even sent her kids to drop off a sorry note at my house, which I saw as just another manipulation tactic. My lawyer suggested it was time to take formal action, so I officially sent Lisa a cease and desist letter. That finally did the trick, at least for now. With the chaos behind me, I've been thriving in ways I didn't expect. A few weeks ago, I got a major promotion at work, something I've been working toward for years. The timing couldn't have been better. I genuinely believe that cutting out the stress and negativity has given me the clarity and energy to focus on my career. It feels good to pour my efforts into something that actually appreciates me. Chris and I have also been leaning into what we call our chosen family. We've been spending more time with close friends like Amber, who've supported us through everything. Amber even joked that she should write a handbook on handling family drama after all this. Last month, we hosted a dinner party for our friends, complete with homemade pasta and wine, and it was one of the happiest nights I've had in years. These are the kinds of moments I want to fill my life with now. Therapy has been another game changer. My therapist has helped me unpack so much, decades of guilt, feelings of inadequacy, and the toxic dynamics that Lisa and my parents thrived on. I've started to recognize my own worth and stopped feeling like I have to set myself on fire to keep others warm. For the first time, I'm not just surviving, I'm living. As for Lisa, I've heard through the grapevine that her antics are starting to backfire. Extended family members are pulling away from her, and even my parents, citing years of favoritism and toxicity. Someone told me that my parents are growing frustrated with Lisa's constant demands and entitlement, especially now that I'm no longer their fallback plan. It's ironic, but I'm not losing sleep over it. A few weeks ago, I got an email from my parents. It was a weak attempt at an apology. They admitted they'd maybe made some mistakes, but quickly pivoted to how families should stick together and how they'd like to move forward. I didn't respond. I've learned that some doors are better left closed. My journey has resonated with more people than I ever imagined. Updating Reddit about everything has been both cathartic and eye-opening. Readers have shared their own stories of toxic family dynamics, and many have thanked me for giving them the courage to set boundaries in their own lives. It's incredible to see how a platform like this can bring people together. Chris and I have also started volunteering at a local organization that supports single parents. It feels good to give back, especially to those who genuinely need help without demanding it or expecting others to fix their problems. It's been a humbling and rewarding experience, and it's become a meaningful part of our lives. The divide in my family has only grown. Some relatives have outright cut ties with Lisa and my parents, while others still try to guilt me into reconciliation. But I've stopped letting their opinions weigh me down. My wedding may have been the catalyst, but this decision was a long time coming. On a lighter note, Chris and I recently celebrated our one-year wedding anniversary with a quiet vacation in the mountains. No drama, no interruptions, just us, a cozy cabin, and lots of wine. It was the perfect way to reflect on how far we've come and how much we've built together. During that trip, I ran into an old friend from high school who knew Lisa. We got to talking, and she casually mentioned how Lisa had a reputation for being demanding and entitled even back then. It was a strange but validating moment, proof that Lisa's behavior wasn't just in my head. This year, Chris and I decided to start a new holiday tradition. We're hosting a family of choice dinner, inviting the friends who've been there for us through thick and thin. It feels like the perfect way to celebrate the season, surrounded by love and positivity, with no toxic strings attached. Reflecting on everything, I'm amazed at how much my life has changed in just a year. Sharing my story on Reddit gave me the push I needed to prioritize my happiness and set boundaries I never thought I could enforce. The support from readers has been incredible, and I'm so grateful for this community. My wedding day turned out to be more than just the start of my marriage. It became the turning point for a better, healthier life. To anyone reading this who feels trapped in toxic family dynamics, I hope my story shows that it's possible to break free and find peace. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Thank you for being part of my journey.